Gemini and ChatGPT have just released new voice capabilities for their Mac apps, and these are some of the coolest and most useful updates Google and OpenAI have ever shipped. I'm not exaggerating when I say that these have completely changed how I use my Mac. I'm going to show you what those new voice modalities are, as well as all the other important AI news from the past week that you need to know about. My name is Paul J. Lipsky, and every week I release a video just like this one talking about the AI news that regular people actually care about. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe. And now let's get to news. I want to talk about the Gemini update first because no one is talking about this, which is crazy because it is truly incredible. So when you come over to the Gemini Mac app now, and you come over to the settings on mine at least, you will now see Speak to Window. I'm going to turn off Use Reasoning for now, and I'll show you what that is in a moment. But the important part right here is these hotkeys right here, which you can set up for anything that you want. So I have mine set up right now to hold the left FN key to actually be able to use this. So what is this new functionality? Well, if we come over to a note like this one right here, and I hold down the FN key, you can see down here that it is now listening to me. And as it's listening to me, it is pulling in all the words that I'm saying. And then when I release it, it is going to dictate what I said. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Now, we've seen that before. That is not that extraordinary. But where it gets really cool is when we use that use reason toggle. So let me come back to the settings now, and I will come in here. And this time inside Speak to Window, I will toggle this on. Now, this is currently rolling out, so it's not going to be available for everyone yet, but I think it will come to most people pretty soon inside the Mac app. Now, with Use Reasoning toggled on, this is when this becomes incredibly helpful. This allows Gemini to be context aware, and you can use screen aware commands. I don't see anyone else talking about this because I think most people think that this new feature is just for basic cleaned up dictation, but this does so much more. I want to run you through 10 quick examples of what this can do, and they're going to get better and better as we go along. So first, if you have any text that's already written out, you can highlight that text, press the hotkey, and tell it how you want to change that text. So I can say right here, make this more formal because I'm sending it to my boss. And then here is the exact same message, but it is more formal, it's more tuned for something I'm going to send to my boss. So that's pretty cool. Next, if you have a lot of text that you want summarized, in the past we used to copy that down and maybe paste it into Gemini or ChatGPT. Now you can just highlight that text, again, hold down FN and say, hey, can you summarize this for me? And just let me know the key points. Now, normally, the way that this new tool works is it produces text for you. So right here, we have the summary, but I can't see it because it's super small. But anytime you use this feature, it actually is starting a Gemini chat. And so if I open up Gemini by clicking on the Gemini logo on the top right, you can see right here, this is the chat right here. Let's make it bigger so you can see it. So here we have my question. Then you can see it took the screenshot and looked at what was highlighted, and then it gave me a summary of that right here. So you can always open up any of the prior chats that you started. You can see here's the other one that I did where I said, make this formal because I'm sending it to my boss. Once again, you can see the screenshot, and then it actually gives the cleaned up text. But here's a way to use that same functionality just a little bit better. So this time I'll do the same thing. I will highlight this text, but you notice that over here on the right, I have this email open. So I'm going to hold down the FN key and tell it to summarize this and create an email for me. Hey, can you summarize this text and then draft an email to Ryan, letting him know all the details about this and how we might be able to use this to our advantage. All right, and then check that out. We have a nicely formatted email to Ryan. It gives a nice summary of what all this information is about, and it even goes that extra step. It says how we might be able to use those to our advantage. That's not something that's included in this text. It made that up on its own because I told it to, and it just automatically pasted it exactly where I had my cursor. So that is sort of one limitation. It will only paste where you have your cursor. So in the prior example where I just highlighted the text and didn't have a cursor somewhere, it had nowhere to paste it. So sometimes you have to move kind of quickly to get it in the right place so it pastes it exactly where you want it. Now, this next example is where things get really cool. So I have these 5 files on my computer, and these are inside a folder that I put together for my fake company, and we're having a company retreat. So I'm going to highlight all 5 of those files. I don't have them open. You can't see them on the screen, but that's enough for Gemini. So check this out. Hey, can you go through these 5 files and put together all of the information into an email that I'll send to my company? All the information they need for the company retreat. And check that out. All this information they pulled from these 5 files, even though I didn't have them open. So it goes over the arrival and parking time, the agenda, and I'm just glancing at this real quick, but I see that this is all accurate based on what is in these files. So that is just so cool. We'll go back to more examples in a moment, but if you're trying to keep up with all of this, maybe like me, you're having trouble falling asleep at night. That's where today's sponsor, Fitnexa, comes in with their SomniPods 3 sleep earbuds, which include some AI features. Each earbud is only 9.9 millimeters thin and weighs 3.3 grams, so it sits flush in your ear. If you're a side sleeper, they're very comfortable. They also have dual mic hybrid ANC rated for up to 42 decibels of noise reduction, tuned to help reduce snoring, low frequency traffic, and environmental hums. In sleep mode, you can leave them silent or play one of 3 tracks stored on the earbuds, so they don't need a constant phone connection and can help the battery last through the night. The app has 3 modes. Normal mode turns them into regular Bluetooth earbuds with high-res audio, LDAC, and aptX lossless. Sleep mode tracks how you sleep. In the morning, it shows my sleep score, how long I slept, and how much time I spent on each side, my back, and my stomach. Auto mode plays music until you fall asleep, then switches to sleep mode for tracking. The AI Sleep Coach lets you ask about your data and trends to improve your sleep. More advanced AI features are coming soon. To check out the SomniPods 3, use the link at the top of the description or in the pinned comment with code PaulJLipsky for a special discount. Thanks Fitnexa for sponsoring this video. Now back to the AI news. All right, so back to the Gemini app. I want to show you some more cool things that this can do. So here inside my messages, my group chat with my family, my mom sent a picture of this newspaper article. As you can see, it is sideways and it is hard to read. Now, normally I would download this, rotate it, but now I don't need to do that with the help of Gemini. Look at this newspaper article, and based on what it says and the message from my mom, draft a 2-sentence reply that makes it seem like I actually read it. That's awesome that they got featured in Newsday, the newspaper. That's wild. How did it know it was Newsday? Does it say it in there? That is pretty crazy. It must say Newsday somewhere. That is the right newspaper. That new Ronkonkoma location with the big outdoor patio sounds like a great spot to grab some pastries. Okay, definitely sounds like AI, but it's on point, right? It perfectly understands what this article was about, and that's an appropriate response, maybe not the best response. She might not notice, but the other members of my family, like my brothers, probably will. Ooh, and actually this is a good chance for me to show you another really cool thing that this does, is that this can actually generate images for you as well. So I can tell, let's do the same thing again, but I'll just tell it to create an image. Hey, look at this article and the message from my mom, and based on it, create a clever image that would be a good response to this message. So this is obviously going to take a little bit longer because it has to create the image, but that was pretty fast. And this is the image that it created. So there we go. I think that works pretty well. So yeah, you can create images with it and paste them anywhere that accepts images. So I've been using them in chats. I've been using them in other messaging apps, in emails. So it's really a lot of fun and really fast way to generate images. And that actually works for infographics and with local files like I showed you before. So here we return back to this example where I have this folder with the 5 files in it. And this time I'm going to tell Gemini, create an infographic for me that summarizes all of the information for the company retreat. And there we go. So once again, pulled in all that information, but instead of a text response, we get an infographic. Now, because of the on-screen awareness, you don't actually have to give it that much context when you're asking for its help. So here in the back end of YouTube Studio, I have all these comments. I personally respond to every single comment still on YouTube. I don't use AI for it, but I'm just using it for this demo to show you how this works because it's pretty neat. So I didn't draft a reply here. I just opened up the reply box and I'm just going to ask Gemini, draft a reply to this comment. And there you go. And actually that's a pretty good reply. So I'm going to hit reply on that one. But from now on, I will type out the rest of them myself or use dictation for it. One of the really cool things about this is that this is just one button that both does dictation and is a context-aware smart assistant, and it intelligently switches back and forth between the two of those. Now, in my experience, it doesn't always get that right. In particular, I find that when I'm trying to do dictation, a lot of times it will try to do something intelligently that I don't actually want it to do. So I think there's a little bit of some rough edges there. Let me show you some examples. So let's say here, I have this blank document and I want to put together an outline for a YouTube video all about Gemini's new Speak to Window. So first I'll start with the title. Title, Gemini's new Speak to Window is incredible. Great. So almost perfect. It got rid of the part that said title for some reason. All right, that's fine. But now I'm actually going to start writing out the script. So I might say Gemini's new Speak to Window is awesome. Here are 10 things you can do with it. The first thing I want to show you is how it just is a great dictation tool. Right? And that's not what I asked for. I wanted it to dictate that out for me, but instead it actually did all of this, a lot more than I asked for. And I find that happens more often than I want for now. But the context-aware assistant is awesome. Like if I'm using it for that, it tends to err on the side of being an assistant more than a dictation tool. So here I could highlight all this and just say, actually let me highlight all of it and say, turn this into a full script for a YouTube video. And there we go. It's a little short, maybe it's for a YouTube short, but it transformed all that into a script. So as a context-aware smart assistant, I think it is truly incredible. But it's a little bit weak, well, it's pretty weak when it comes to dictation, only because it doesn't do dictation most of the time and it tries to actually be an assistant. So I continue to use Wispr Flow for dictation because I think it's the best tool I have found for that. And I'm just using the two of these together. But there's a third tool that I'm using as well, which is the new ChatGPT Voice. And that I use a little bit differently. That's been out for a little bit over a week now. And some of the stuff we are doing with that is mind-blowing. So let me show you that one next. Okay, so here inside the ChatGPT desktop app, you'll now see a button right here for starting a new voice chat. This combines two new features. One is their new highly capable voice model that just sounds a lot more natural. And the second thing it combines is having voice inside the desktop app and being able to use it with ChatGPT Work, which you can see I have selected up here. And this unlocks some incredible capabilities. So let me show you some of the ways that I've been using this and kind of some of the cool stuff you can do. So I'll click on Start a New Voice Chat. Hey, ChatGPT, can you hear me fine?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right, so I want you to start a new task where I'm creating a video all about the new Gemini Talk to Window. So start a new task that will create that new page in my YouTube schedule database and actually open up the browser and go to Grok and ask Grok what this new feature is and what people are saying about it on X. And I want that incorporated into the video. Now, create a second task at the same time that's going to be a video all about the new ChatGPT Voice. So same deal, go to Grok for that to see what people are saying about it and create that as a new page inside that database, the YouTube schedule database. Then I want you to check the latest email that I just received in a new task and give me a summary of what that's all about.
Okay, I'm setting those up. I'm setting up 2 research and scheduling tasks plus the latest email summary now.
All right, so you can see those appearing right here. We have 3 new chats that it spun up for me. So what's happening right now is this chat that you're seeing right now with the voice chat activated is the orchestrator. I'm talking to that and it's delegating out to these other tasks. And if I want to update anything, again, I'm just going to talk to this live mode. So I'll unmute it, for instance, and say, for that Gemini one, I want to post it tomorrow. And for the other video that I mentioned, what was that one about?
That one's about the new ChatGPT Voice.
All right, for that one, I want that scheduled out for Monday.
Sure, I'll update that. Okay, ChatGPT Voice is set for Monday and Gemini for tomorrow.
Great. Did I have anything else on the schedule for Monday?
I'm checking your Monday schedule now. I'm checking the YouTube schedule for other Monday and the ChatGPT Voice task is also checking every other item on Monday.
Now, while we're waiting for that to respond, what I want you to be aware of is that it's currently working on files on my computer. So all these tasks that are spun up, it's creating those outlines for those videos in a folder on my computer, because that's the way that I work. If you use Notion, it will do it in Notion. If you use Google Docs, it will do it in Google Docs. It has access to all the plugins that you have inside of ChatGPT, and it has access to all the files that you've given ChatGPT work access to. It's just, instead of going and starting new tasks yourself, you're just using voice to delegate all that out for you. All right, can you give me, so I've been going back and forth with ChatGPT here. ChatGPT, can you give me a little bit of an update on how everything's going?
Checking the current status now. The email is done and both video tasks are in the final save step. The Gemini one is correcting the feature name to speak to window and incorporating the audience angle. The ChatGPT Voice one is set for Monday, which already has the Shutterstock workflow video.
All right, cool. So now another cool thing about this is that this will just float here while you do work. So if I minimize ChatGPT, you can see that it appears over here on the right. And I can just mute it or unmute it as I need to, or even end it just by pressing this X. Now, another cool thing about this is that it can take screenshots of your screen. So let me show you that right now. I'll just tell it, hey, ChatGPT, can you grab this tweet and add this to my weekly AI news recap video that I'm recording today, like towards the end? This is a cool new feature that I want to showcase in today's AI news recap that I'm recording.
Got it. Let me pull that into today's recap. I'm identifying the tweet on your screen so the right feature gets added to today's recap. The Gemini Spark tweet is identified and a task is adding it as an end of recap segment to today's AI news video.
Now, to get the most out of this, there are 3 things that I suggest you do. The first 2 are in the settings on the desktop app. So just come over to the settings, click on the left here where it says voice, and make sure you choose a good voice that you like. I think Ember sounds quite pleasant, but you can just choose one that you're going to enjoy listening to. Then you want to assign a voice chat hotkey. I assigned mine to option 1 so I can easily get it, and that can be activated from anywhere. So here I'm back on Twitter. I see this post that I thought was interesting, so I'm going to use ChatGPT Voice here. You can see it's now open on the right, and I can say, hey, this looks really interesting. Can you draft an email to myself that includes all this information so I don't forget it?
Sure, I'll gather that info and draft the email to you.
So I took the screenshot, I muted it so I can continue to talk to you.
Draft yourself this saved in Gmail with a subject about GPT-5.6 price cuts plus fast mode, a quick highlight summary, and a simple creator takeaway.
Nice. So now I'll just leave it here, or maybe I'll close it. And then when I need it again, I could just press option 1 again and it pops right back up. And believe it or not, this gets even wilder because you can use the same functionality on your phone and it will control what's happening on your computer, even if you're away from it. So here in the ChatGPT app on my iPhone, I can open up the menu on the left and click on remote. Now up here at the top, you see both of my computers, my Mac Mini and my MacBook. In order for this to control your computer needs to be on and the ChatGPT app needs to be open. So I will select my MacBook, which I have up on the screen here for you as well. And let's start a voice chat. All right, what I want you to do is to create a new note for me, or actually have this idea for a video. So put it inside the video ideas database. The video is comparing ChatGPT with Gemini. So just throw that idea in there. And then in Notion, I want you to do some research on those two tools, Gemini and ChatGPT, and just do like a quick a write-up of that in a new note in Notion so I can easily access it from my phone. When you're done with that, also, let's just start with those things.
Got it. I'll start on those two pieces. I've captured the video idea and the request for a Notion write-up you can reference from your phone.
So while that's working, I'm going to open it up on the desktop app. So I said, hey, I want you to create a note for me, yada, 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 and it's actually getting to work here on my computer. And all the functionality that I showed you before, you can do through this remote. So I could tell it, create a new task for me.
ChatGPT.
Okay.
Sure,
Before
I
you
can
do
do
that,
that.
create a new task for me where I have you go through and find my last email that I've received and let me know if it needs a response. Right. And you see right there that I created the chat for that. So pretty wild. Again, you need your computer on and the ChatGPT app open on your computer for that to work, but it is well worth it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I bought a Mac Mini. So now with my Mac Mini on all the time, I am able to do all of this work while I'm on the go. It's pretty wild, and it's really changing the way I think about work because I'm not tied to my computer anymore. I bought a truck camper recently. We like to go out to the woods, fly fishing, swimming in the river, hiking, different things like that. And I'm able to do so much more using Starlink and my phone. I don't even need to take out my laptop. It's truly incredible. All right, so how am I using all three of these voice modalities together? Wispr Flow, Gemini Speak to Window, and Voice for ChatGPT work. Well, they sort of build on how complex the task is that I'm working on. If I just need dictation, and that's either straight dictation because I know exactly what I want to say, or I have a pretty good idea and just need it cleaned up, I'm using Wispr Flow for that because I find it is the best one for the job. I just press the button and I start talking. Wispr Flow will take my voice and what I'm saying and remove any ums and fillers and dictate a nice clean output. I then think of Gemini Speak to Window as a momentary on-demand assistant that comes in, does the job, and then gets out of the way. So for something like this, I could ask it to change this to make it more formal, to make it funnier, like all those examples that I showed you before. I press the button, it is activated, it is listening, and then it takes action based on that. Like I'll tell it right here, make this sentence a lot funnier. And then it does that. But in order for Gemini Speak to Window to work, you need to be where the work is being done. It can only see what you are looking at. For actually delegating out work, that is what I use ChatGPT Voice for. Because that I can just have open and send it multiple tasks, and it can go out and do all of them even if I'm not watching what it's doing or have those open. So you see they sort of build on each other. Now there's definitely overlap here, but they all have their strengths. Like Gemini Talk to Window, I like because it is so fast. I can just highlight the exact text that I want changed and it will paste over that with the new changes that I asked for. ChatGPT Voice can do that. It will take a snapshot here, see what I'm looking at, and then actually make changes to the file. It's just not as fast for things like that than Gemini are. So using all three together, I'm moving through my work and using my computer in a way that I have never done before. And it really feels like this incredible moment in AI that I've been waiting for a long time. Okay, we spent a lot of time going over those new voice modalities, but I think it was worth spending the time on those because they are really important for the way that we interact with and use AI. But there's one other big piece of AI news from the past week. OpenAI has announced that they are reducing the prices of two of their models. GPT 5.6 Luna is being reduced by 80% the cost, and GPT 5.6 Terra is being reduced by 20%. That is pretty wild. And this applies not only for the API, but also inside of Codex as well and ChatGPT work. So if you're using those models, Terra and Luna, you're going to be able to use Codex or ChatGPT work a lot more than you could in the past because those models are going to use a lot less of your usage. And what's also pretty interesting about this is that OpenAI has said that they actually use GPT 5.6 to reduce the cost of using GPT 5.6, which is pretty wild and meta if you think about it. So here in the ChatGPT desktop app, if you click on the bottom left here where your name is, you can see your usage remaining. And this will show you how much you can continue to use ChatGPT over the next week or how much of your limit you have left. You see, I've used up half of mine already. So if I really wanted to optimize this, I could switch from Sol by coming over here in advanced. I can go from Sol to Terra and Luna, and I'm going to be able to use it a lot more than I was able to use Terra just a few days ago, and certainly a lot more than I could use Sol. Now, personally, I just leave it on Sol all the time, especially because right now they have so many deals going where they just keep resetting the usage limits for everyone, and you get these resets for free that they're just giving people. So for right now, I'm just using Sol because it gets reset so often, it doesn't matter. But if I'm running into those limits in the future, which I think I might, I will probably switch to Terra for a lot of tasks. It's still a really powerful model. And it's kind of mind-blowing that they've reduced the cost of it so much. Okay, but that's all I want to cover when it comes to that. So let's finish off the rest of the video with some quick AI news updates that you might find interesting. So first, we have an update to Gemini Spark. Gemini Spark now works with auto browse in Google Chrome. So if you have Chrome, you may see over here on the right the Ask Gemini button, and this has something called auto browse where you can tell it to open up a website for you and interact with it. And that's cool and all, but it's really nice now that it now works with Spark. So you can start a task here and say, go on the web and do something for me, like maybe pull some information from my Google Docs and fill out this form for me, and it will be able to do that. It will send the task over to auto browse. There's also some freebies you guys might want to be aware of. So Google has said that Gemini Omni, which is their video generation model inside of Gemini, until August 4th, you get 10 free videos at no cost. So if you want to try out Omni, you can do 10 generations for free. And finally, Google has released a new AI music generator called Lyria 3.5. This is an update to their last Lyria model. And you can use this inside of Flow Music. If you didn't know this, this is included with your Google AI subscription. It is a way that you can generate music. And they've added a whole lot of other capabilities in here. I may do a full video on it because I don't have the time to add that into this already really long video, but there's some cool things they added. So it now has covers, lip sync videos, and there is an iOS app. But as for the new model, it's more expressive, dynamic, richer musically, richer musicality, and a lot more advanced controls in here as well. I did a few quick listens to music that was created with the new Lyria 3.5, and I think it sounds much better than the last model. So if you like generating AI music, you might want to give this a shot. So there we go. That's the AI news from the past week. It wasn't a lot of topics to cover, but the ones that we did cover were super important. And I think the summary of all of this is that voice is the future. I think that is the future modality for AI, one way or the other. I'm certainly really an advocate of it. I really believe that it is one of the most natural ways to interact with AI. And we are getting so close to something that is really, it seems like Hal or her, which sounds a little bit scary, but I do think that is going to be a lot more of a natural way to interact with AI. But if you want to make sure you stay on top of all the AI news as it's coming out, and you want to get a filter to only see what is actually important, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I release an AI news recap just like this one every single week. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure to subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.